Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2019 season. This week we're on the streets of Macau for one of the craziest races of the season. The first to be raced in the studio rather than online, and also the last of the races in the V8 powered Mercedes-Benz GT3 car. My name is Justin Sutton, and joining me as usual, it's Chris Buxton.
Glad to be back once again for VGP and at the incredibly intense Macau circuit. This is how the VGP2 standings currently look. Peter Kujala on the top, but only just being chased by Simon Kazinit. Then Thomas Kareni, Prada, Regal, Prohaska, Hrdnecki, Bušek, Liška, Vanešek and Jeleník rounding out that particular field. The teams, it is Forza Atomic up top, again being chased hard by the Predator team. Acer not too far behind, very, very close actually, the top 5 of the team standings. Very, very close together indeed. Sport not too far off either in 6th.
Having a quick look at the circuit, 6.12 kilometers, 19 turns is what we have in store, what the drivers have in store ahead of them. It is a fairly warm day, but it is a bit windy out there as well, so that could be causing some issues. Driver of the day last time out in Laguna Seca was the VGP2 driver of Kovacic, and this is how things are looking after the qualifying. Pavel Reigl taking that pole position with a 221.955, only 22 thousandths quicker though than Kovacic. Very, very close between the two of them, and only another half of a tenth of a second down to Jaroslav Prohaska, so very, very close in the qualifying. And it is a shortened qualifying now. It is just 15 minutes instead of 20 minutes, so everybody has less time to get things going as we prepare to go racing here at Macau. Again, Reigl on pole in that lovely Acer green car, and really looking forward to this one. This is, of course, the sprint race. This will determine the order for the later race. Oh, but wow, losing tons of positions in that Acer car, already down into 4th position. Not a great start whatsoever for Pavel Reigl. He's going to be really upset about that one, and it looks like he may even lose another position as he's got another car on the left-hand side of him as well. I think that's Bušek in the Smarty car. It's going to be very tight as they make their way. Oh, heavy impact there in the Acer car. Oh, no. Oh, goodness me. And, yep, some more. It's happened almost immediately. Huge crash. We were absolutely expecting this sort of thing, Chris, but it looks like at least 3 cars involved in that incident, and less than 30 seconds into the race, we got a full course yellow.
Almost carbon copy of last season. I think we managed 1 lap before that happened last time, but yeah, it was a huge, huge crash we had around and that's ironically one of the wider parts of the circuit as well. But that is the nature of Macau, isn't it? It is just one of these really tight, very unforgiving circuits. Any mistake is going to be punished like that. But what a start from Prohaska. He is in the lead now with that incredible launch he had off the line. So it's absolutely incredible. But yeah, look at all the way down to 8th now. Our pole sitter, Reigl in the Acer car, and that beautiful green vehicle is all the way down there. Big crack in the windscreen. How quickly that amazing what was a very close 3-way battle for that pole spot, just a 10th separating the top 3. But there he is, Jaroslav Prohaska in the sport car. What an absolutely stunning start he had off the line, and really quick reactions as well, not to slam into the back of Reigl's car. And he was already challenging Kovacic in the Logitech car before they'd even got to turn 1. Absolutely stunning start until, of course, people went spinning, and then the full course yellow came out.
Yeah, that was it was pretty gruesome out there actually, through that right-handed corner. It's very high speed, of course. And I mean, an incident is always likely to happen in Macau, regardless of the caliber of drivers that you're going to put on the circuit. But yeah, Jaroslav Prohaska going from 3rd to 1st, a heck of a start, as Chris said. Kovacic, in the end, actually not gaining any positions. He did gain one on Reigl, but then lost one as well to Prohaska, so that's unfortunate for him. But he is still in 2nd position. He's got Kujala just behind him in the Forza car, and then Bušek up into 4th position in that Smarty car. And it is so difficult to try and keep your tires warm under the full course yellow conditions, because of course it's such a tight circuit. It's very, very narrow. There's hardly any spots where you can actually do some weaving. So I imagine these drivers are going to be doing a lot of accelerating and braking, possibly accelerating, braking at the same time. Pretty much anything they can do to try to get some heat into those brakes, into those tires, and make sure that they have the best chance for themselves when we get racing once again, because of course the grid is still very tight because of the full course yellow. So once we go green again, that is going to be a prime opportunity for a lot of these guys to try and make up a position, and of course they want to defend their position, make sure they don't lose any. So that's how things are looking as we come to the end of the first lap. Again, this is only the sprint race, so it's only 20 minutes long, and we're coming up on 16 and a half minutes, just under 16 and a half minutes remaining plus one lap. But here we go. Now they can finally start to do some weaving here, Chris.
Yeah, nearly the quarter of the race is gone, and we're under yellows. So, and I'm sure Prohaska would love for it to stay this way, so we can just cruise home. But that's not up there. There it goes. It didn't last. Now we had the yellow longer than that last season, I seem to recall. So now all the tension has built up. They've got all the adrenaline running, and now they really have to rethink how they're going to go racing. Oh, and there goes Kujala in the Forza car, just catching Kovacic's napping. Oh, and that Bušek in the Smarty car. Where on earth did he come from? Absolutely belting start he had when the full course yellow went. Oh, and he's going for the lead as well. 3 white right behind them. Rakel trying to recover positions, but he's picked the perfect time. The field's so very close. He's gone from 8th to 3rd in 2 corners. Brilliant start. Well, this is a real race of very mixed fortunes, from good to bad, and then bounce up to pretty good again for Mr. Rakel in the Acer car.
Wow, unbelievable stuff. The 3 wide moment, I'm going to be honest, I was a bit concerned for everyone involved when I saw that happening. I thought we were going to be going straight back into full course yellows, but no, a fantastic job by everybody into that right-hander down at Hotel Lisboa, and everybody making sure that they don't take any more damage, no more contact. But as you said, Kovacic losing a lot of positions on that start. Bušek taking the lead of the race, and he carried so much speed through that Hotel Mandarin, the high-speed right-hander where we had the crash on the opening lap. Just carried so much speed, overtook everybody, takes the lead of the race, looking very comfortable out there at the moment. He does have Jaroslav Prohaska right behind him, and of course we know how quick he was in qualifying. He was within 1/10 of the pole position, so he is going to be very fast, but this is a very tight, narrow street circuit, and it's so difficult to pass here. It's extremely difficult. For example, in this part of the circuit that we're on, it is physically impossible to make an overtake unless you send one up the inside into this hairpin here. But through those twisty bits, it's actually not wide enough to fit 2 of these Mercedes-Benz GT3 cars. So looking a little bit further back, it looks like a bit of a gap has started to form. I'm not sure what caused that, if there was some sort of incident or something, but yeah, after that restart, Kovacic losing out big time, Rakel gaining positions once again, but again, the big winner here, Chris Bušek.
Oh yeah, absolutely brilliant. And that just goes to show what patience and timing can do. They were just up to speed at the perfect opportunity. They kept within the rules. They didn't overtake under the full course yellow, but they were already up to speed. They caught really Kovacic very much napping there, but there's a gap forming between Rakel and Prohaska. So Rakel's made a mistake somewhere, I think, through the twisty bit, which has held up basically everyone behind him. There goes Kujala. Nicely done in the Forza car. He's going to draw alongside. He's going to have the outside for the next turn. That's going to be very difficult to complete. Oh, just avoids a bit of a trading pain there. Here comes the Logitech car of Kovacic. Is he going to be able to complete the move before they get to the next turn? It's going to get all very busy again. Here comes Necki in the Avast car as well, trying to get involved. So that is Kovacic then now under pressure again. Still side by side with the Acer and the Forza car. Someone's going to have to blink in a minute, because otherwise they're going to get wedged in there. Come on, one of you is going to have to finish the move, and you've got to admire their determination. But Rakel's had to back out of that and concede the position to Kujala. That was brilliantly done. Whilst our 2 leaders of Bušek and Prohaska have just gone up the road, so they're out of sight for now. There's Korony in the sport car, fending off Necki in the Avast. So that move from Necki unfortunately slightly backfired on him, because he's now down to 7th. But plenty of time to go. Even though this is a sprint race, this is still a race about patience. That is the biggest thing. Oh, and there's a bit of a wiggle on from Hernecki as he's pinballing off the walls a little bit. But this is, even the sprint race is about patience and timing far more than it is about lines and speed. It is about being in the right place at the right time, far more than I've got a quicker car than you, or I know how to take this particular corner. It is just more about getting it right, but being patient. Oh, that's Jelenik going a little bit deep in the Blue Predator car. Oh, and then gets gets clouted at the back by Liska in the Benzina car. So they're having a good old scrap, and that's for 10th. So no, they're not giving it. Oh! Now that's a very opportunistic move from this guy. He was not wanting to stay behind the Predator car at all, longer than he needs to, and yeah, quite wisely Jelenik got out of that. Oh! Well, that's a problem.
Oh, that's an interesting one. The spurt car. It's Corny. Corny's caused a right backup here at the hairpin, the tightest part of the circuit. That is shocking. And right after we saw that incredible overtake as well too. Unbelievable. I can't believe what we're seeing. Well, that's going to be great news for anybody that's ahead of Corny, because there is going to be a huge gap with just over 11 minutes plus 1 lap still remaining in this sprint race. But yeah, unfortunately we didn't catch what caused that, but I gotta say, Chris, that overtake from Liska possibly might be enough to make him driver of the day for me. I mean, we're only 10 minutes into the races that we're going to be covering today, but right out of the gate, that is driver of the day material right there, I have to say. We're on board with Rigel, though, as he's got Kovacic right behind. You can see tons of free air behind. He's going to defend the inside line, is Rigel, with Kovacic going to try around the outside. Here's Hernecki trying it on Liska here as they make their way through that high-speed right-hander at Hotel Mandarin, and it looks like he's not going to be able to be close enough. The Benzina car carrying enough speed through that right-hander to hold on to that position as they get into the heavy braking zone for this right-hander here now. But unbelievable stuff. Again, we're not even halfway into this race, Chris, and I can't believe the excitement, the action that we're seeing here. That's absolutely incredible. And you got to think, Liska, a lap ago, was last. He's now 7th as a result, primarily as a result of that rather unusual stoppage at the hairpin, but that's the nature of the circuit. Oh, that's a bounce off the wall for Liska. He's not going to get away with it. Hernecki, great drive. Is he going to complete the move? Coming through the next left-hander? No, well defended by the Benzina car. Hernecki's playing this quite safe, but very sensibly. He's not putting his car in a really unrealistic position. Oh, good catch, Liska. That's you should play cricket or baseball or something with a catch like that. That was. Oh, and he's hit the wall again. Liska is overdriving. He's pushing too much out at positions where he really doesn't need to. Hernecki is just keeping his car in position. He's just basically waiting for Liska to make the mistake. Hernecki tried a few corners back, but again, wisely backed out of it when he realised there was no room there. They are still catching Carney. I think Carney has also made a mistake. So they seem to be gaining on him now in the sport car. So, and there they are at the bottom, as you can see, all in close proximity to one another. So if somebody does make a mistake, you might see a bottle being launched across the room. So what I think has happened here... Oh! And Liska was kind of happily demonstrating what I was about to explain. Corney's done one of two things. He's either bounced off the wall like that, which has pitched the nose back towards the apex, or Corney's given it too many beans too quickly, and the rear tyres have just given up on him, and round he went. But of course, no one can get past him at that particular point. These are big vehicles with those big roaring engines that I love so much. Love the noise of these things. I love the noise of all the Mercedes, quite frankly, but this one's got that really deep, roaring engine in it that you know, could terrify the scales off a dragon, really. But here they come then, and all flashing lights from Hernecki in the advanced car. He's not happy about something. Oh, here's Kovacic again in the Logitech car trying to make a move on Rigel into that next right-hander. Can't get it done again. Rigel defending very, very well. That is Prada in the Thrustmaster car trying to make a move on Hernecki. But again, he's having to remain patient. Now, as mentioned before, this is the sprint race, so the results of this will decide the grid for the feature race. The top 6 are reversed as well, so Carney might want to stay where he is. May not actually have a choice. He's 20 seconds behind the next car down the road. But he might want to kind of play a little bit of tactics here. Although Busiek, with that incredible run, is now 3 seconds actually clear of Prohaska. Prohaska's fending off Kujela. That's the primary reason why that gap's there. And Rigel's fending off Kovacic. So you've got Busiek out on his own in the Smarty car, and then
pair of pairs, and then the Corony train.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like you said, you really got to finesse this circuit. You know, brute strength is not the way forward at this circuit, as we've seen with the moments where people losing the back end, making contact with the barriers, all sorts of things like that. You're never gonna make up positions like that. You really got to finesse it. You got to make sure you're hitting your braking zones, and I can only imagine. I've never actually driven this circuit. I don't know about you, Chris, but I've never actually driven this circuit. But just from the onboards, it seems like a really, really difficult circuit to drive. Not only because of how narrow and tight and how many corners there are, but just also because it's just there's so much going on, and you really it's difficult to find those braking points. I think for a lot of those corners, there are braking boards for some of them. That last right-hander they went through had braking boards, but not all of them do. And it can be very difficult, I can imagine, in order to try and be consistent around this circuit. But it's working for Bušek so far. As you said, he's built up a gap at the moment. Prohaska and Kužela are busy debating second position, while Rigel and Kovacic are busy debating fourth position. But we've got that big gap down to Corny in sixth position. As Chris mentioned, though, it is reverse grid for the feature race, and the top 6 are going to be reversed. Only the top 6 will be reversed. As we have a look at Hurtnecki, he's still defending from Pachata in that Thrustmaster car. The Avast driver doing well in 7th position at the moment. That's actually one of the worst positions to be in. He would really like to get into the top 6 if he could, but again, big gap up ahead. That's going to be difficult. That's going to be a tall order with only 6 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. On board with Kužela now as we get into the really tight and twisty stuff, and kind of off the main straight, if you can call it a straight. It's sort of an isn't straight for those that are familiar with the Grand Tour. But yeah, making our way through the twisty bits, and you can see just carrying a lot more speed there. You can really see the difference in driving styles. I really think this circuit kind of highlights those differences. You can really see those drivers that are trying to be late on the brakes and just carry as much speed into the corner as possible, whereas Kužela here was focusing more on slow in, fast out kind of driving style, and you can see it kind of equaled out between the two of them, but it's really highlighting those differences, those minor differences between the drivers. Of course, they're all very, very similarly paced. You'd have to be just to take part in VGP, but just small differences here and there, and it's really highlighting as they get onto the brakes into this right-hander. We've seen a couple of incidents there through that right-hander where people have made contact with the barrier at the exit, but no problems for these guys as they make their way through in 2nd and 3rd position. Looking a little bit further back to Hurtnecki once again. Vanashek in the Legion car as well, who is down in 9th position. And it looks like Lichka and Jelinek, yeah, as we switch on board, great timing on that one. Oh, here we go with Lichka. He's going to try to round the outside. That's a difficult corner. Really, any corner here is going to be difficult to go around the outside of. But as you mentioned, Chris, battling up and down the field.
Yeah, there is no way I'm brave enough to race anything here. This is anything I would try to drive here would be in the wall, as Lichka is trying to capitalize on Jelinek being a little cautious out of the last couple of corners. But again, just space isn't there. And Jelinek may not wanting to kind of put his car into the wall too many more times. He's already come a cropper with certainly with other people's incidents. Here is Kovacic still putting the pressure on Rigel as we've got a couple of laps remaining. So just over 4 minutes with a 2:24 average lap. So, yeah, 2 or 3 laps remaining in this race. Here comes Kovacic and Rigel jumping. Well, he's trying to break the toe look, and that's going to be pretty tricky. This straight that is, well, vaguely straight. Oh, Kovacic. Now, he didn't want to go to the inside line. That's such a fast right-hander. If he'd had tried to attempt to go onto the inside, they both probably would have bounced off the wall. That's why Kovacic thought about trying to squeeze in between Rigel and the wall, but Rigel just parked it brilliantly well when he did it. Oh, there's Lichka having to move on Jelinek, who's, again, the Benzina car is got up into that 10th spot. I think Jelinek is just being cautious. That's where the... or he's struggling with some kind of problem. I think he's just being cautious, and Lichka has had enough of being behind the Blue Predator car, and through he goes. Here we go again, Kovacic on Rigel. So coming back to what you were saying earlier, Justin, about how different drivers seem to be approaching this. I was when we were watching, it was Kovacic, I think, chasing Rigel. Just how the smooth driving style, this is what you were alluding to, of just keeping it clean, keeping it off the walls, just being consistent. That is the biggest thing. Oh, it's the biggest thing in a lot of races, but particularly in a track like this where the barriers are waiting to greet you with open arms and very unforgivingly. where there's no room for error, where you can't, exactly as you said earlier, you can't muscle through. You've got to be, right place, right time. It's technique more than it is raw speed or anything else. So it's the smooth driving style rather than the aggressive racing style is really going to pay dividends here.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that, and yeah, these guys are doing fantastic. Of course, this is for just outside the podium positions between Rigel and Kovacic, and we can see them making their way through the Melko hairpin there, and down the hill they descend as they're coming to the end of the lap. Now, just over 2 minutes remaining. So they're going to finish this lap. They're going to have one more, and then one more after that. So I believe there are 2 laps remaining in this race. It is there is still a fairly large gap between 5th and 6th at the moment, and indeed a pretty large gap now between Corny and Pachada as well. Corny really starting to stretch his legs after those early incidents at the beginning of the race. I really don't think his pace is 6th out of 11 for Corny, but unfortunately those incidents, this is where he finds himself, and there's just not enough time for him to gain any further positions unless there is some sort of incident, and with Kovacic getting that close to Rigel, there's certainly the possibility for an incident. I'm not going to write it off, and there is Corny, the man who I was talking about on your screen there, kind of running around in no man's land at the moment, but he is pulling away from Pachada, so he's really not under threat, and there is that battle between the Acer and Logitech cars as they go through that right-hander once again. A carbon copy of what we've seen on the previous laps here, Chris, with the Acer defending the inside line, the Logitech going to the outside, and it's just not working out. And unfortunately for Kovacic, that straight is just a little bit too short. I think if it had another 300 meters to it or something, then he might actually be able to pull his way past, but he hasn't been able to find a way by. Here we go on board with Vanacek, though, in the Legion car. Bit of contact with Hurtnecki. Hurtnecki wanting to defend that inside line. That's an interesting racing line for the Legion car, but he has managed to get it all slowed down. Didn't make any contact with the wall, and he is up a position. And anytime anyone makes any overtake here at Macau, I'm impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hurtnecki knew that one was done. He didn't fancy trying to do anything silly into that very tight the Lisboa turn. So, yeah, he didn't want to try and cut across him or defend when the move was done. He was wise enough to bail on that when it was all done and dusted. So here we go again, Rigel. I wonder if Rigel's been having a chat with Blasek from VGP1 on ace defending, because he has been defending brilliantly well, very much out of Blasek's book. But into the tight hairpin once again, looks so close. Well, they are quite close because the pace is slow at that point. It doesn't make an awful lot of difference. Now the final lap will be beginning when they cross the line again. The timer has expired. 1 lap to go here at Macau for this sprint race. Again, as a reminder, this decides the grid for the feature race, with the top 6 being reversed. Here is our leader, where he's been for vast majority of the race. Bushek in the Smarty car knows he's just got to keep it nice and clean. Doesn't, hope he doesn't want to park it anywhere, because he's got a comfortable gap behind to Prohaska. And then Kujela with Rigel still fending off Kovacic. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see any more kind of moves for position unless someone makes a mistake, because at this stage, particularly with the top 6, yeah, basically just bring it home, don't do anything daft, don't lose any positions. So I wouldn't be surprised if everybody kind of settles for where they are right now. Kovacic is still gaining. Is he going to have a crack at him in Lisboa? No, he's gone for the outside line. He's not wanting to try and throw that one on the inside. No. And what a catch! Give that man a glove. He needs to be on a baseball team.
That's impressive stuff. I mean, it went one way and then it went the other way. That was actually 2 catches. That was doubly impressive from the Logitech driver. Oh, he was thinking about sending one up the inside. Oh, contact with the barrier for Rigel. That could give him an opportunity, but no. Again, we're into that really, really tight part of the circuit. This is where I start to get lost on the track map, if I'm honest. I think we're just past the Solitude S's, maybe. I'm not entirely sure on that one, but again, pretty much once you get past Hotel Lisboa, it's very, very difficult to try and make an overtake until you get into the final couple of corners of the lap. So to even have a look really shows a pace difference there. So clearly, I think Kovacic probably a little bit quicker at the moment, despite that loose rear end on that Logitech car, but no drama through for the pair of them as they make their way through the right-hander. Bušek still leading the way, but I have to say Jaroslav Prohaska looking a lot closer than he was previously. It's great to see the drivers on screen. This is the first time we're ever seeing VGP2 drivers actually on screen in the studio. It's the first race of the year, of course, in the studio after 3 online races earlier in the year. It's also the first one with a split up. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Oh, no. And Kovacic is going to bring his car to a stop. And I think that is very sportsmanlike of him, especially because they knew they had that huge gap down to Korony, so they didn't really need to worry about too much there. So that's great to see from Kovacic, giving that position back to Rigel, because, yeah, he put him into the wall very much so there. And, yeah, I don't think he wanted to risk any sort of penalties or anything. But as we come across the line, it is going to be Prohaska that is pushing Bušek down the way. It was a gap of 3 seconds or more at one point, but in the end, Prohaska very, very close behind him. You can see him celebrating down at the bottom left of your screen there. Very excited about that one. A fantastic drive from the Smarty driver. Jaroslav Prohaska, though, a fantastic drive as well, too. He wasn't quite on the level of Bušek, but I really got to give props to him. Kujela as well, too. A bit of a quiet race, actually. We didn't see Kujela all that much. In the end, a fantastic result for Michael Bušek, only half a second ahead of Jaroslav Prohaska. Peter Kujela in third, rounding out the podium. Kovacic in the end in fourth position, with Rigel in fifth, Korony in sixth, Pachata in seventh, Liška, Vanešek, Jelinek, and Hurtnecki at the end with that 20-second penalty. And that's gotta hurt Necky for him. Sorry about that. There was going to be a moment, wasn't there? It had to be done somewhere in the season. Yeah, but here we go. We're ready for the feature race now. So this is a 40-minute race here, Chris. We got the top 6 reverse grid. So we got Korony starting on pole position. I imagine he's going to be looking for the win here big time with Kovacic behind him. He's going to be looking for a solid result as well, too. Looking at the result, it looks like actually Rigel with a great start. He had a terrible start in the sprint race, but he's going to have a great start this time. He's already going to be alongside Kujela. Not quite, though. The Spurt car going to defend the inside line. Here comes Kujela around the outside. Here we go into the right-hander of Hotel Mandarin. Are we going to see a crash this time as well, too? The Spurt car. Oh, yes, yep, and there it is. Kujela in the Forza car. He's off. We've got a spinner in the back. That's Kujela. That's also Hurtnecki, I think, in the Avast car going for a bit of a 720. And the full course yellow. It's happened again, Chris. That's 2 for 2. Yep, your timing was impeccable, but that's the thing, isn't it? It's almost inevitable that an issue is going to happen with these kind of cars at a track such as Macau. Everyone's trying to fight for the same bit of track, and Kujela now finds himself all the way down there in 10th position. I think it was Vanešek had a terrible start. No, sorry, it was Jelinek had an awful start when the lights went out. He's now up to 8th as a result of everybody spinning around. Kovacic then is in the Logitech car holding on to that top spot. Korony dethroned from that first position. So we'll see then how that will shake out when the full course yellow goes. Bušek oddly has a bit of a gap between himself and Rigel, but they're obviously not going to be in a hurry to do anything right this second. Going to be like this for a little while. But there it is, another full course yellow here in Macau. So of the 3 races, including last season, we are 3 for 3. Nicely done. That's consistency for you. Yeah, as you said, though, it is the nature of the circuit. Anyone that's watched a real-life race on the streets of Macau knows that this is inevitable. I've seen crazier crashes in real life on the streets of Macau than I have in VGP. So it's amazing that we're only getting as few as we are, to be totally honest. So, but yeah, we are under full course yellow once again. It does look like everybody is pretty much in line, though. I don't think we're going to have to wait for anybody to catch up for a very long time, but your new leader is Kovacic in that Logitech car after an interesting and exciting race that he had in the sprint race. But here in the feature race, he is leading the way. As I mentioned before, it is a 40-minute race plus 1 lap, so it's about double the distance of the sprint race that we saw earlier in this broadcast. So he's going to be looking to capitalize on that and try to prevent prevent Korony from getting a good start on the restart. And I wonder if we're going to see the restart here, potentially at the end of this lap, because as I mentioned, pretty much everybody is in position at this point. You can see all 11 cars on the screen right now. They're on the part of the circuit where they can get the most heat into their tires, so you can see everybody taking advantage of those nice wide lines, and they can really weave about and get some heat into their tires as Kujela is into the pits. So that is definitely not optimal for him. That is very certainly going to drop him down into last position as they come onto the straight once again after making that very slight left and continue their tire warming. Oh, whoops-a-daisy. And Kujela has engaged the reverse gear, which is never a good sign in racing if you're using the reverse gear, but he is under, this is full course yellow, so if there was a time to use reverse gear, now was that time. So it looks like we're not going to get underway on this lap, so I think one more lap here, Chris, and then we'll get racing once again in Macau.
Absolutely. So what this will do, it'll obviously take a fair chunk of time off the timer, but it sort of, as we were mentioning at the end of the full course yellow in the sprint race, it just gets the nerves up, it gets the adrenaline going. But then you've just got to focus. Patience is going to be the biggest thing here. It's very embarrassing to bounce off the walls at this kind of pace, but it does unfortunately happen if someone takes their eye off the balls. Kujela is now out of the pits, so he'll be catching up to the back of the field as quickly as he can. There he goes. So now back on track, and he'll be able to gun it until he gets back to the tail of the field, so back behind Vanashek's car. So now everybody's just got to settle themselves down, which is very easy for us to say in the commentary box. That's quite easy, but they know what they know what's at stake. It's as is always the way in VGP. It is amazing prizes. We've gone over this, the top prizes these guys can get, but they're worth a considerable chunk of money, and they know that every race, every point counts. Especially, and this is something we don't know, especially with the second car being new to the series, the touring car. We don't know whether, Kovacic is leading at the moment. Granted, we've got the reverse grid aspect, but let's just take him as an example. He may really struggle in that DTM. So, people that are most comfortable with the GT3, and it's a car that is quite universally recognised, so it's available in a number of different sims. So you can argue that it's the one that's easiest to practice on. But equally, GT3 cars, I'm not saying much of a muchness, but there's, if you're familiar with one type of GT3 car, there's transferable knowledge. I would imagine there's absolutely nout that is or very little that is transferable from a GT3 car to the DTM. So, will the DTM suit these drivers? That's going to put a bit more pressure on them to score well in the cars they're comfortable with. So we don't know. We genuinely have no idea. That's part of the joy for us. I can't wait, because that DTM car is such a great thing. And there it is on the right of your screen, the 190E Evo 2. Is such a very different characteristic to the mighty roaring GT3. It's a screaming car, but it's great at the sort of the twisty element. Doesn't have quite as high a top speed as these GT3s, but it is a real. But the thing is, it's difficult to master. You can get in it and stick your foot to the floor, but it really takes a very different driving style to these GT3s. So if some of these drivers know they're maybe not quite as strong in the DTM, that's going to put more pressure on them to do well. And pressure and Macau, not a great combination.
Going green.
Yeah, as we've seen actually multiple times already today, but we are getting ready to go green once again. It is going to be Kovacic that's leading the field. You can see Korony right up on the back bumper of that Logitech car. It's already some side-by-side action going on. Everybody's trying to, there we go, and then we go green, and it looks like, actually, I think Kovacic has timed that very well. However, Rigel is going to be coming under attack from Bushek and Prohaska, the leaders of the previous race, and there we go. Rigel is going to lose a position, actually, to Yaroslav Prohaska. Prohaska moving up into third position. Rigel's going to try and come back out at him. He picks up that slipstream. He's going to move to the inside line into this right-hander. Is he going to be late enough on the brakes in that Acer car? I think he is, and I think he's going to get that position back. They're still side-by-side through the corner. Another right-hander coming up next, so he will have the inside line, and he's done it. Rigel moves back up into third after losing it very briefly, but here comes Bushek, actually, onto the back of that car. He was looking like he wanted to threaten Prohaska there, there, but in the end, not able to make it happen. On board with Kujela, who did make that pit stop earlier on. He's down at the back, running behind Vanashek in the Legion car, Kujela in the Forza car, of course, and it is still very, very close as we've only just gone green at the beginning of this race. 34 minutes plus 1 lap still remaining for this feature race here in Macau for VGP 2019. And it's looking like nice and smooth for everybody, and I wonder if people are just learning some lessons possibly from that sprint race, because it seems to me that they're being a bit more cautious as we see a bit of contact up ahead, actually. I think that was Lishka making a bit of contact, and Hurtnecki, yeah, Hurtnecki, I think, touching the back of Lishka ever so slightly as they get into that heavy braking zone, trying to get the car rotated through that right-hander. You can see a bit of a gap starting to form now, actually, Chris, between Pachada and Jelinek. So Jelinek in that Predator blue car, he's dropped back a little bit. It seemed that he's lacking a little bit of pace. Oh yeah, in the background there, that was the Legion car of Vanashek, I think, making some contact, and Kujela's through. Nice opportunistic move there, but I mean, that's what you need here on the streets of Macau.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of wincing and hoping for the first 4 corners, because my goodness me, they were close. But also, Kovacic, something that occurs to me is Kovacic may well be playing a bit of tactics in the really twisty bits. No one can pass. We've identified this, and they've tried to prove it, and it hasn't gone very well for the ones that have tried to squeeze through in the tight twisty bits. So Kovacic can, well, any of them, but Kovacic in particular, because he's leading, of course, can take his time, can be that little bit tactic, can try and back them off, and, you know, like when the full course yellow bits, and that is Jelinek ground. Oh dear, that's it's going to take him a few turns to try and correct that one. But he could be trying to essentially back the field up like you would behind a safety car, and then floor it when he gets some space. So he's trying, he could well be playing that kind of game. That may be why the field is very heavily bunched up. But also bearing in mind that we still haven't resolved essentially the reverse grid aspect. Bushek, the winner of the last of the sprint race, is in 5th at the moment. So you've got potentially faster drivers trying to make their way past the slower ones in positions where they can't do it. So that, again, will condense the field. But there's so many different variables that we commentators, of course, can't know, because we don't know what the drivers are doing. Except for Jelinek facing the wrong way and doing some sightseeing whilst he's down there. So that's going to put Jelinek a long, long way. He's going to hope for another kind of Corny parking moment coming into the hairpin to catch up with the turn of the field, or another full course yellow. But we'll see. Strange things are occurring tonight at Macau, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Kujela here trying to stick to the back of Lishka, doing a good job, actually, as a bit of a gap now down to Vanashek in that Legion car, as we mentioned earlier, having a bit of issues. And there is Jelinek getting going once again. Good to see him facing in the correct direction, of course. He has lost a significant amount of time, though, unfortunately, as a result of that incident. But these two guys are still very, very close, Lishka and Kujela, as they make it through the right-hander. No contact there. The Legion car getting very, very close to that barrier. I mean, practically skirting against it, and possibly even making some light contact with it at the exit of that corner. But very, very close racing between these two. This is definitely the one I think we want to watch, as a bit of a gap has started to form. The last time we saw the leaders, they were all a little bit spread out, still very close to one another, but not nearly as close as Lishka and Kujela. Vanashek actually doing a good job hanging on to the back, possibly even closing up on the pair of them. If he's quicker than Lishka, then of course he's going to close up to the back of Kujela, because Kujela will not be able to find a way by until this part of the circuit, as we now starting to get into the final couple of corners. And this is really, you can see immediately the track widens. It becomes a 3-4 lane road even, actually. So we can go do a little bit more racing and have some more side-by-side moments. And third gear through that final corner as they cross the start-finish line now. And just over 30 minutes still remaining in this feature race for the Mercedes-Benz 2019 VGP season. Again, this is the first race, or the first races of the season, to be done in person, with the drivers all being able to see, hear, and smell one another. I don't know exactly how they smell, but I imagine you get 11 dudes together driving around the streets of Macau, so there's going to be some perspiration going on. So I hope everybody has brought their deodorant today, because if any circuit's going to make you sweat, it is this one. Still very close between Kujela and Lishka, but at the end of that long kind of straight, once again though, Kujela not able to find a way by. So it seems that Kujela is faster than Lishka, but not at the parts of the circuit that actually matter, Chris.
Yeah, that could be just a driver style or crucially a setup difference. If one of them's running a bit more wing,
that's right,
then they're going to deal with the twisty bits a little bit better. It could be that Liška is just running that bit more wing to keep Kužela behind him. But of course that would leave him a bit more vulnerable on the straighter bits. But they're gaining on Hertnecki. The Avaskar is struggling a little bit, so he's now going to have quite a bit of company. A lot of Mercedes-Benz horses then coming up behind him, and whoa, that looked from this angle that the Avaskar was a little bit sideways coming through these S-bends here. Now coming back down the hill again. There's a big bump there as well, and if they floor it slightly earlier, the wheels are going to spin and then suddenly gain traction and essentially throw the car to the side. But we haven't seen any of that. We've seen plenty of other incidents going on, not that one in particular. And now, yeah, look at the gap. That gap between the Benzina and the Avaskars is just absolutely gone. So Hertnecki is now going to have considerable amount of pressure on him. Here's Bušek, winner of the sprint race, under a lot of pressure from Richarda in the Thrustmaster car. These guys have just come through the hairpin, so coming up to the same bit of track as those two we were just looking at. So again, it's patience and timing, and it looks like that Liška's had a great drive from Kužela. Oh, Kužela went for a much earlier apex. That's going to compromise his exit though, and it's things like that. It's those little moments of being in the wrong place at the wrong time that will will really hurt, because this is the only kind of straight area where they can keep the foot planted for any length of time. And if they've got that entry wrong, the guys ahead will just disappear off into the distance, and that's another opportunity that Kužela may well have lost.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that, because it's so crucial to carry speed through Fisherman's, the penultimate corner, because of course the speed you carry, the closer you are to the car in front, is going to set you up for that overtake into Hotel Lisboa, and you can see the result of that mistake plain as day in front of you right now. There's a big old gap. There's no chance of Kužela sending one up the inside, up the outside, up any side. There's just no chance. Several car lengths back as they got into the heavy braking zone for that right-hander. And I mean, there is the potential to make. We've seen some overtakes even in the twisty bits, some opportunistic stuff, but that's what you got to hope for. You got to hope that the car ahead is going to make some sort of mistake as we go on board with Pavel Reigl in the Acer car, and this is for second position. Korny still holding on to that second place position in the Spurt car, and he's one of those guys that finished a little bit lower in the sprint race than maybe you would have expected, and as a result started further up the grid for this feature race. So I don't know if Reigel's going to have the outright pace to actually make an overtake on the Spurt car here. Oh God, as Korny gets very, very close, flirting with those barriers on the left-hand side of the circuit. Heavy braking zone as they go up the hill, and again, there's another sort of bump there. There's several bumps through here. Of course, these roads weren't designed for GT3 cars to go 150 kilometers an hour through. They really weren't considering that when they made some of these corners. That's unfortunate for Jelinek, as he is into the pits in that Predator car, and I think that's going to be any chance of him picking up some points here probably gone. It's going to drop him right down to the back with just under 26 minutes remaining in this race around the streets of Macau. This is going to be the final of the two races for the VGP2 cars, but then of course we will have the VGP1 cars also going around. So this is the first race of the season where we're seeing an 11-car grid, which is maybe what longtime fans of VGP are a bit more familiar with, actually, Chris, because of course in seasons past this was more sort of the size of the grid that we were looking at, but with this 2019 season we've seen 22 cars, and it's been absolutely fantastic. But no shortage of excitement here today around the streets of Macau, even with only 11 cars. And here we go on board with Hertnecki looking backwards as the Benzina car sneaks up the inside. A bit of contact there for the Avaskar. Kužela's going to try and make it 3 wide. He wants to try and sneak up the middle of both of them and make it 3 wide into this right-hander. That's a terrible idea. I think Kužela is actually going to take the racing line, though. Those two guys went through. He's going to carry much more speed. Here comes the Forza car. He can't find a way on the left, though. He's going to have to go to the inside. Can Hertnecki hold on to the both of them? Hold on to that 7th place position. He's got the inside line. Kužela might be able to make the overtake here on Liška, and yeah, with some contact with the barrier at the outside of the corner for Liška, that is going to allow Kužela to move his way through up a position. But in the end, Hertnecki holding on to that position, and I gotta say, fair play to him, because that was a very, very difficult job holding on to that spot. Very, very well defended. As we see the Spurt car just losing the back end ever so slightly, just drifting that little bit wide. As we can see Corny and Rigel on our screens now, you can see how much they're focusing through this part of the track, because of course, if you really don't want to make a mistake here. I mean, the whole circuit, though, Chris, is completely unforgiving. So you have the start of the circuit, which is extremely high speed. So if you make a mistake, you're gonna have a bad time. And then here, the mistakes don't punish you quite as much, but they're far more likely. So I mean, there is no part of this circuit where you can really relax.
Nope, not at all. And that battle with Hertnacki, Kužela, and Liška started on the final turn. The Vasca, I think, was a little cautious coming out of that, and that sort of bunted them. Oh, there was a little tap there from Rigel on Corny, but they got through it okay. But yeah, so I was really wincing, and I was thinking, Kužela, you cannot part the waves coming into Hotel Lisboa trying to make that 3 wide. Don't do it. And of course he didn't. He wisely backed out of that. But we've got a potential 4-way forming here, because well, that's actually almost was the top 5 in the same shot. We just saw Kovac just disappearing out of the shop. And then you've got Corny, Rigel, Prohaska, and not really that far behind is Bušek. So this lot could really kind of get together. Bušek has been minding his own business since he dropped Prachada. You can see the Thrustmaster car at the top of the shot there, now in 6th. He's really just kind of got his head down and got on with it. And of course, the more these guys fight, the more they'll slow each other down. Although they're kind of spread out to the point of not... It's almost equidistant between all 4 of those, actually, I just realised. But, you know, the more they fight, the more they're going to slow each other down. So Bušek is really... You know, if he really gets on with it, he could, you know, stand to gain a few positions here. On board with Prohaska, staring at the back of the Acer car of Rigel. Again, Prohaska was really challenging for the lead. Oh, here's Kužela and Hertnacki again. Very little distance between them. Can the Forza car do anything against the FS? Once again, Hertnacki committing to the inside line. Gives Kužela the racing line, but he's not going to be able to turn in. And that's going to be a little tap off the wall. Nothing that bad there. There's Liška, not too far behind. Vanešek is actually right with him. So Vanešek now joining up. We got a pair of 4-way battles going on.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff. And actually, it seems that Liška's dropped back. I don't know. It could be damage, potentially. I mean, any of these guys losing some pace could potentially be because of damage. So we can only hypothesize on that one. But yeah, Liška dropping off the back of this 3-way battle that he was in between Hertnacki and Kužela. But Liška now needs to worry about that Legion car of Vanešek behind him. And I'm sure he's very, very aware of that Legion car behind him, and he's going to want to try and hold on to that. But yeah, Hertnacki doing a fantastic job. As I mentioned before, I was very impressed with his ability to hold on to that 7th place position when it was a 3-way battle on the previous lap. Having a look once again at Corny and Rigel, and Prohaska and Bušek are definitely starting to close up. This 4-way battle for 2nd position. Kovacic really stretching his legs. He's not built an enormous gap, but it is getting bigger and bigger marginally as laps go by. That's a heavy impact for Yaroslav. Oh, that's another big one. He didn't turn in. He turned in a little too early. His line was just a little bit off. That's going to lose him tons of time to Rigel up ahead in the Acer car. Thankfully for him, I don't think Bušek had a great run through that section of the circuit either, so I don't think he's going to come under major threat from Bušek in the Smarty car. But Prohaska in the RPS car definitely losing some time, and I have to say Rigel is definitely looking like the fastest out of these 4 battling for 2nd position. Is he going to have a good enough exit out of that final corner to try and mount an attack into Hotel Lisboa? Through the high-speed left-hander they go, well over 230 kilometers per hour through there. I've noticed, I've been watching these guys through this high-speed right-hander at Hotel Mandarin. Here we go, 275 kilometers per hour, not quite a lift, maybe a half lift. You can see, you can hear them, they're still on the throttle, which is incredible. Here we go, nothing between them, less than half a tenth. Around the outside goes Rigel, but no, he's not going to be late enough on the brakes. He takes the racing line to carry a bit more speed, but it's just so difficult to try and mount an attack into this next right-hander because immediately it tightens up. But here we go with Hertnacki and Kužela once again, and crucially here, Kužela has got the inside line. That's amazing. I don't know how he's managed that one, Chris, but he's got the inside line, and he's got the position up into 7th for Kužela in that Forza car. Hertnacki drops down into 8th, but he's coming back at him. Oh, man, I really didn't expect that. Oh, no. Big incident. Kužela's going to hold on to it, but Hertnacki facing the wrong way, and now he's got to try and turn around at a very tight part of the circuit, Chris.
Yeah, that's going to take a few goes for him to do. He's bouncing off of the walls whilst doing it. That was a shame. Who was at fault for that one? Could be kind of going both ways. That was a very optimistic move, but there was room for Hartnecki to do it. I think he just essentially just got squeezed into the wall, and sadly round he went. Hartnecki again knew that move was done. It was brilliantly positioned by Kujello coming into the Lisboa turn, but unfortunately it rather unravelled for the Avast car. Now looking back again at this battle for second and fourth respectively, so Korny, Rigel in the podium spots and Prohaska and Bušek in their battle. So the Smarty car looking to try and get back up towards the front. Well, all of them of course are trying to do that. Kovacic now with over 6 seconds to the good. Oops, a bit of a snap there from the Smarty car of Bušek. Getting a little bit too many horses down to the tarmac, so that's going to cost him a little bit of momentum. Yeah, Prohaska, I would imagine, is going to take that downhill section a little bit more cautiously, because he could have really, caused himself a lot of problems. He unsettled the car and then struggled to recover again before bouncing off the wall for the second time. But Bušek, like you say, Justin, didn't have a good run himself, coming down the hill towards the penultimate turn again, and now they come to complete another lap. And once again, the same battles resuming. Korny is just defending exactly where and when he needs to. He's not committing to the defensive line any earlier than he absolutely has to, and that is forcing Rigel to have to commit probably earlier than he would like. So it's just very smart driving as well as very fast driving around the streets of Macau. Nicely done from our drivers.
Yeah, approaching 290 kph as they get to the end of that straight and into the heavy braking zone at Hotel Lisboa. But it is as they were with Korny leading this train. Still a bit of a gap now between Rigel and Prohaska, and then Bušek right onto the back of Prohaska. So it is still very, very close. Kovacic actually extending the lead anymore. Oh, that is not the right line for Rigel. Unbelievably, he held onto it and actually closed up to the back of Korny. I thought for sure on that onboard that we're seeing an accident in the making here.
Likewise, yeah. I thought that was going to be Rigel getting into Korny's car. Yeah. He was really unsettled for a good couple of apexes, but how he just about managed to slow that one down. Whether Korny saw what was coming and maybe adjusted what he was doing, it didn't look like it. Korny looked like he was just minding his own business, but yeah. Rigel, you really got away with that one.
Yeah, that was incredible. I don't know if he knew that line would work, or if that was just adjusting to the situation. If that's just pure skill, just fixing his own mistake sort of thing, potentially. But again, it just looked very wrong, and somehow he not only didn't lose time, I think he actually gained time on Korny during all of that. I mean, he is right on the edge, though, of tire adhesion. You can tell he's really pushing this car to the limit. You can see how wide his entrance into that Melco hairpin is as well, too. He's ringing that car for every 10th of a second that it's worth, and pushing very, very hard. And this is the part of the circuit where you want to do that. You want to make sure that you're right up to the back of the person that you're trying to overtake, because of course he's going to gain time on that spurt car all the way down this kind of medium length straight, and then we get into the braking zone. Oh, and actually the spurt car's wide. That's given the opportunity to Rigel. He's going to take the racing line, actually kisses that apex. Couldn't let the car quite run out wide, though. Couldn't quite get on the accelerator as early as he would have liked to, because he had that spurt car on the left side of him, but he is very close. It's I'd say less than 2 car lengths between the Acer and Spurt cars as they come down the straight into the right-hander now. Bit of a lift, I think I heard there from Rigel as they make their way. You can see the dirty air effect really affecting him through there, as unsurprisingly Korny defending the inside line as they make their way down towards Hotel Lisboa, braking at about 140 meters, I think that was. And actually he is later onto the brakes, and Korny had to give him the room, but actually making a bit of contact, it did Rigel there. And oh, but here we go once again, side by side, out of the St. Francisco Hill. Unbelievable stuff. I can't believe Rigel is actually trying this. Less than a car length between the two of them. Here he goes around the outside through the left-hander. There's still side-by-side contact between the two of them. Surely Korny is going to have to let him go, and he does indeed, and Rigel takes that position. But here comes Jaroslav Prohaska. He's going to try and take third off of Korny, but no, can't quite manage that. That was a hell of an overtake from Rigel. Unbelievable. The fact that neither of them crashed, wow. I tip my hat to you, gentlemen, because that was impressive stuff. That is not an overtaking location.
No, but Rigel owned it. He committed to it early on. You were right, he did lift very slightly when they came through Mandarin. Did Pavel Rigel. He did not want to be too wide into that section because he wanted to attack into Hotel Lisboa. And this just goes to show that he's thinking about the move way before he gets there. He knew if he tried to commit to a too wide coming through Mandarin, it was going to end horribly badly. And then he set up the move into Lisboa perfectly. He knew what line he wanted to commit to. He knew he wanted to get the drive out of Mandarin, and if he could force the defensive move from Corny, then all the better, because that was going to cost Corny time. And then Rigel decided, I've fed up with staring at your diffuser. I'm now going to force my way past as they came up San Francisco Hill, and before they get to any of the major turns. So Rigel was determined to make the move stick, and he has done. And what that's done, that is essentially thrown Prohaska plus Bušek and Pachada onto Corny's case, although Corny's had a decent drive coming away from them. Whoop, a little bit of a tail wiggle there, but he caught that one in good time. But look at Rigel. He's comparatively, he is gone. That just goes to show how much time, essentially, you could argue that Rigel's lost being behind Corny. No disrespect to Corny at all. He's done a brilliant job to hang on to the position as long as he has. But wow, Rigel is really good. Oh, that's a problem for Bušek. He caught the wall beforehand that started pitching his car to the opposite wall, and he was way too quick. He was fine if he didn't touch the wall going into that particular turn, but because he was pitching to the right much earlier than he was expecting, he just could not slow down in time. Oh, what a shame for the Smarty car. All that progress is now just gone, and only 12 3/4 minutes to recover.
Yeah, he's down into 7th. We saw Kujela just making his way by, thankfully not losing too much time, I don't think, as a result of that stricken Smarty car. Well, it wasn't stricken, but it was stationary. I'll say that much anyway. But you touched on this before. This is all played into Pachada's hands, actually, in the Thrustmaster car. It's going very well for him at the moment. He was down in 6th position. It's now become a top 5 position, and he's closed up to that battle for 2nd position. Meanwhile, Kovacic, who we've barely seen in this race ever since the full course yellow got removed, and we went green for racing once again. But Kovacic is taken away. And there he is. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. And I mean, just look at the gap that he has. Last lap was a 2:23.3. He's not having to defend. He's not having to look in his mirrors, and he's just focusing on the road ahead. And I think it was it Mika Hakkinen or was it Kimi Räikkönen? I don't remember. Some F1 driver said, you drive it one corner at a time. And that's exactly what Kovacic is able to do with this kind of gap. I mean, he really doesn't have to worry about anybody behind. The only thing he needs to worry about are those metal black and yellow things on either side of him. Those are the real concern for the Logitech driver who's currently leading this race. Just under 11.5 minutes remaining in this feature race for Mercedes-Benz 2019 VGP season. Back on board with this battle for 2nd position, though, having a look at Jaroslav Prohaska. He's kind of closing up to the back now of Corny in that Spurt car. And this is something we've definitely talked about in the past before, Chris, but racing drivers they're kind of like sharks. They smell blood and it just makes them crazy. And, Prohaska would have seen Rigel take that position off of Corny, and that's immediately going to trigger some sort of predatory instinct in his mind. And he's going to be seeing Corny as some little tiny lamb, and and he's the T-Rex, and he just can't wait to eat him. So I imagine Prohaska is going to be pushing very, very hard to try and catch up to the back of that Spurt car. Unfortunately for him, making that slight contact at the exit of Hotel Mandarin, that's not going to help him. And he does need to worry a little bit about Pachada. I mean, Pachada's not necessarily hounding him, he's not pressuring him, but one small mistake in that RPS car, and he will lose that position to Pachada.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, bearing in mind that Prohaska's finished behind Rigel in the sprint race, so he won't want to let Rigel get away. Whilst Rigel was battling Corny, then Prohaska didn't need to push as hard. Now that position swap around and Rigel is quite clearly getting a gap between himself and the sport car, then he won't want to let him get away, as Bušek's got a lot of company from Vanacek in the Legion car at the moment. Wow, that's very, very close. So, yeah, absolutely. When opportunity is presented to itself, or the potential for an opportunity to present itself, yep, the racing instinct, you know, your right foot gets a little heavier, which is can often be dangerous, as has rather been proven. Bušek rather proved it earlier on. Coming back to the quote you made, it's something that I would imagine Mika Hakkinen to say. You take it one corner. And Bušek again getting himself acquainted with the walls. He hasn't learned from the first time round. He wasn't
taking it one corner at a time. No,
Vanacek having a problem. Jackie Stewart once said, you know, he always aimed to win a race as slow as he possibly could. Yeah, he had a very different kind of racing style, but he was always known for being a smooth driver as opposed to a very aggressive driver, trying to drive as much as he could out of the car, irrespective of where he was. You know, Jim Clark, if in doubt, go flat out, was always his mantra. So what would they do around circuits like this, I wonder? I think they would have raced them in Formula 2, if I recall, back in the day. But yeah, there's enough issues going on without single-seaters, you know, snapping suspensions and God knows what. As we're looking at Pritchard again chasing Prohaska. Also, I wonder if anybody has been keeping looking at the last lap times. I don't think anyone's been really keeping anything in reserve, because generally the lap times by and large are in the kind of 2:24, 2:23s. I did see someone, I wish I could remember who it was, but someone in the sprint race got 2:22.222.
Wow.
So someone has satisfied the OCD members of our of our audience. But Vanacek is really trying his best to get past Bušek. What a shame for him. He's looking so strong. And as you said earlier, Justin, one mistake just can completely destroy a race. And it has done for Bušek. And Jelenik's day is getting no better as he's dropping further behind at the tail of the field, having coming in the pits. It is Vanacek. Oh, again, Bušek off the wall. That's surely going to give Vanacek the opportunity to fight through it. I think he's going to be done before they get to the braking zone. So, yeah, Bušek. And what I bet is happening to Bušek is frustration is abound. He knows... Oh, and that's Vanacek overshooting his braking point and probably giving the position back to the smarty car again. So, yeah, I bet you anything that Bušek is just getting frustrated. He knows, you know, he obviously won the sprint race, as we mentioned. He knows he's got the pace to be up front, and suddenly he had that horrible mistake, cost him so much time, frustration about him, then mistake leads to error upon mistake. So he just needs to calm it down and just get back into the rhythm, just refocus on the targets. Very easy for me to say, but I've been in the position of when you're in a race, something goes wrong and you're your own worst enemy. You just self-perpetuate the cycle that just destroys your race even further. So yeah, calm it down, Bušek. We know you're good. Just calm it down and get back into the rhythm.
Yep, yeah, it's a snowball effect, as you said, because you make a mistake and then you're hard on yourself. You're pushing harder to make up for the mistake, and then you make another mistake, and then you end up sliding into the wall. Yeah, you know, it's that snowball effect. And oh, there's another touch. And something that I wanted to touch on earlier, great segue if I say so myself, something I wanted to touch on earlier is just how battle-worn and scarred these cars are looking.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single car, apart from maybe Kovacic, I don't think there's a single car that doesn't have a significant amount of paint missing from their front bumper or their rear bumper or the side of the car. Yeah, they're looking very worse for wear are these cars. I mean, they're still going, which is a testament to the durability of these Mercedes-Benz GT3 cars. However, yeah, you can see right there, that's a great shot of Bušek coming in. You can see on the front of his car, he is missing a significant portion of that Smarty livery. But yeah, he's hanging on to the back of Vanacek, who we didn't mention this earlier, but Vanacek is actually has replaced Hošek at Lenovo full time, so he's going to be a Lenovo Legion driver from here on out, so we're going to be seeing lots more of Vanacek in the future. And I have to say, that was a great overtake earlier on, but it's not been a great feature race for our sprint race leader, Bušek in the Smarty car. Of course, he started from 6th position in this race after winning that 20-minute sprint race. And there is the Logitech car, and I do see a little bit, I see some scuffs on the back end. but the front end is looking rather pristine. The side of the car as well, too. I'm not seeing any of that Logitech livery missing on the front or sides of the car, but he's got some at the back. So I think somebody, maybe on the restart, made a slight contact to the rear end of that Logitech car, but otherwise looking absolutely pristine. And the gap that he has at the front is just further evidence of how little he's made contact with the walls. This is exactly what we were talking about before, Chris. It's that finesse. You got to finesse the car around the track. You can't force it. You can't just yell at it, dang it, go through the corner at this speed because I want you to. No, it's not going to work around the streets of Macau. But rejoining this battle now for what is essentially third position, because Koreny is now kind of dropped off the back of Pavel Reigl in that Acer car, who is doing very well. He's looking like he's on for a solid second place position here. You can see how much lock they're putting on their steering wheels as they make their way through Melko. But yeah, this has, I think, become a three-way battle between Koreny, Prohaska, and Pachada, as we're getting really into the tail end of this race. That 40 minutes has actually pretty much flown by. Only 4 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap. Just looking at the previous laps, Pachada was quicker by nearly 0.2 of a second compared to Prohaska, and Prohaska's not exactly being held up by Koreny, is he?
No, not at all. And I also kept an eye on Kovacic's lap time when we saw him before. He's getting mid to low 23s, so he's not letting up at all. He's not risking taking it easy, because for some people, if you relax the driving style a bit, if you just bring it down to try and just bring it home, you take your eye off the ball, and we've seen how well that works for people here. So he's absolutely pressing on until that checkered flag falls. And Kovacic has done a brilliant job in keeping the paint. A lot of aerosol paint is going to be sold after this one. There's the panel beaters are going to be very, very busy getting these cars back up and running again. But they're not going to be used, so maybe they'll crash and burn after this race. Who knows? But Pachada doing everything he possibly can. Look at the focus on their faces as well. Yeah, I'd noticed in a few laps ago how much lock they're having to put over to get through the Melko in particular. It's kind of Monaco levels of steering lock. I know these things are loosely based on road cars, but even still, they're having to almost kind of, they are having to hand over hand lean right over to get the cars round. And that's a very, very tight hairpin. So Pachada is keeping Prohaska very much in his sights. Prohaska falling a little bit off the back of Koreny, but that so quickly changes, as we've seen many, many times through this section. Only a couple of laps remaining now, so anyone that has got a potential move, that some drivers kind of just bide their time and wait for an opportunity. Now's not the time to do that. That time is gone. They've got to force the move now, or just pile the pressure on and hope they make a mistake for the person that they're trying to chase. Prohaska a little deep into the left-hander there, but nothing too bad. So I would imagine particularly this tight group of three, this is going to get real hot in these dying moments.
Yeah, I mean, I know for the most part we're unbiased. We don't have a bias as far as the commentary is concerned. But I got to say, I am pulling for Pachada right now. Not necessarily for the championship or anything, but in this moment, in the dying stages of this feature race around Macau, I am pulling for Pachada because, as I mentioned before, he's had a bit of a quiet race. We haven't seen him involved in tons of incidents, making loads of overtakes or anything like that. He's been nice, smooth, calm, consistent, and I think that's really showing in his top 5 position here. However, if he wants to make any sort of gains, if he wants to pick up any more championship points, he is going to have to make a dive at some point. There is going to be one more lap after this one, because of course it's an almost 2.5-minute lap, and there's only a minute left on the timer, and Kovacic isn't that far ahead, so there is going to be only one more lap after this one, I believe, is completed. So Pachada is really running out of moments here. He's another one that looks to have a pretty pristine car. You can see the RPS car of Prohaska, another one of those that's missing a lot of that paint job, but the Thrustmaster car looking comparatively rather pristine, looking really good. But yeah, I'm pulling for Pachada here because he's driven really well here today. Not quite. Okay, I've gone in.
Perfect timing for the commentator curse to come in.
Come on! I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize to Pachada. That is my fault, not yours. 100% my fault on that one. I was gonna say he's not quite driving as well as Kovacic, for example, because Kovacic truly is on another level. There's another fantastic time to be switching to the Logitech car, and he might be driver of the day. And you guys should definitely let us know on Facebook. Let us know who your driver of the day is for VGP2. It's a tough one here, Chris, but Kovacic definitely a contender because just the dominance that he's shown here in this feature race has been truly incredible. Right down to 37 kilometers per hour. So they're going to almost 300 kilometers per hour, right down to 37. And indeed, the timer has run out here, so it's going to be one more lap around the streets of Macau.
Yeah, fair comment for Kovacic. Oh no!
Oh no!
Justin, what have you done? Pachada, it's all gone wrong. But that actually comes back to what I was saying earlier about overdriving. I bet you he's wanting to push. He's just made that one slight mistake. He's either, pushed a little bit too hard. It looked like he'd hit the apex slightly early. So he's either turned in a bit early or he's thinking too far ahead and he's taken his eye off the ball. And that's put Kuchela right on his case. So Pachada is just going to have to defend like a lunatic now for the remaining lap. Kovacic, yeah, very firm contender for driver of the day. I kind of rooting for Rigel, I think, because he's made some great moves happen and he's given himself enough of a gap between himself and Carney. Carney was right up there for a long time defending against Rigel. Up until Bushek had his problems, he was doing pretty well. Had Necki as well, has put on some good shows. It's going to be very difficult to call. I'm kind of going with Rigel because he's made moves happen at a track where... Oh, that was close from Kuchela. He's made moves happen at a track where it's very difficult to make moves happen, and he's done it cleanly as well. And yeah, a lot of people haven't had quite as much luck. So, all of the votes are well worth it. So as Justin said, get your votes in, and we look forward to seeing those next time around.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic race, a fantastic couple of races, in fact, and even with the full course yellows at the start, it's still been absolutely fantastic. So really, really thankful to the drivers for putting on such a fantastic show. Thanks to thepitcrewonline.net as well, of course, our partners for the English broadcast as well too. And yeah, we're on the final lap, and it looks like Pachada is probably going to be taking it pretty easy here, but of course that could give an opportunity to Kuchela. As was mentioned by Chris, if you start to slow down, you could actually run into a mistake because your tires aren't quite up to temperature, or you're not quite getting the downforce that you were on the previous lap when you were pushing hard, So it can definitely cause problems. So Pachada is still holding on to that 5th place. So despite that issue, he hasn't lost any positions. He hasn't lost any championship points as a result. But we turn our focus now to Kovacic in the Logitech car. It's been a fairly dominant display from Kovacic in this feature race today. He's got one more corner still to navigate as he makes his way through the 90-degree right-hander and powers his way down the straight towards the finish line. It is going to be victory here in Macau for Kovacic in the Logitech car, and I believe Rigel is going to be comfortably in 2nd position. There is that beautiful Acer car. Lots of that livery missing, as is the Spurt car as well, but Corny in the end is going to hold on to that podium position. I have to say, Chris, for a while there, I was doubting whether or not Corny was going to be able to hold on to that, because that was some really, really close racing, and in the end, Pachada does hold on to that 5th. Kuchela in 6th position, right behind, just tempting him with those extra points right ahead. Lishka, in the end, in the Benzina car, is going to come home in 7th position. Vonashek as well, a great drive for him, actually, a kind of recovery drive for him, up into 8th position. There's that Legion car, the new full-time Lenovo Legion driver, and you can see some of the drivers that have already finished. They're grabbing some water, they're wiping themselves down. As I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of perspiration going on and then you can see some more towels coming out. So those headsets are going to be pretty drenched as well too. But getting right to the end here, and it looks like Bushek, the winner of the sprint race, is only going to be 9th position for him today as he crosses the line, and it is going to be Hurtnecki that brings up the rear in the Avast car. That is going to do it for the VGP2 races around Macau. Just to summarize the feature race, Kovacic picking up that win almost 13.5 seconds ahead of the next car and fastest lap. A fantastic victory for the Logitech driver. Rigel and Corney rounding out the podium. Very well deserved for those guys. Prohaska and Pachado really not that far behind either, until Pachado, of course, had that issue. Simon Kovacic takes the lead of the championship. He now sits on 58 points, 12 points ahead of Peter Kujela, with Corney in the Spurt car holding on to third place position, but level on points with Yaroslav Prohaska, and Pavel Rigel only 1 point adrift in that battle for third in the standings. In the Teams Championship, Logitech now leads the way with 62 points ahead of the Forza team, who are level on points with Acer, both of them with 56 points, and only 7 points down to the Replay Studio team in fourth position. It is looking very, very close in all of the championships. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time for the VGP1 race around the streets of Macau. Goodbye.